Hi guys, and welcome back to another Dot Race video, and today we're going to be playing MotoGP 21. We are finally starting our MotoGP career mode, and of course it all starts here in Sepang International Circuit for the winter tests. So as you may have seen yesterday, there is Grant on board the Aprilia RSGP, brand new helmet, brand new livery, brand new challenge, starting today. So let's see how we get on. We are starting off with pack number 1. Of course, you get 3 different packs in the winter testing, and this is all about understanding how we can be strong with this motorcycle, how we can tame the beast, let's say, with different packs. So this first pack we're doing it has reduced engine power, but better reactivity and better tyre consumption. So we'll see how we progress. Currently using just TCS3, anti-wheelie 4, engine brake 5 and power setting 2. I'm probably going to mess around with these as we go. Of course, this is a very exciting moment for us and the aces, of course. This is something I think you've all been waiting for quite a while, and it is finally here. A little bit of a scare in the Moto 2 career mode because I wasn't sure whether I was going to actually be able to go into MotoGP or not. For some reason we didn't get any contracts offered, and I already refused some of them early on in the season. But as far as it goes for now, I had to start a new career mode and automatically go into MotoGP, which is absolutely fine because of course I still already have all the screenshots of all the stats that we acquired in the previous championships, but for the time being, I guess that all that really matters is we are in MotoGP. So signing with the factory Aprilia team as well. Of course, there was quite a lot of options really. You can go for LCR Honda, Castrol Honda of course, you can go for the Aprilia RSGP team, which we've done, or you could go in for the Sky VR46 team with Luca Marini, or the Avintia Esponsorama Ducati. There's quite a lot of options when you start off in MotoGP, but I went for the Aprilia. I went into Aprilia last year when I played on my own, and so I had a good season, but it was a struggle. And I very much expect the same thing here. I really hope you like the brand new helmet design as well. I wanted it to fit in with the Aprilia, but not just to look exactly the same, as we have a little bit of a minor mistake there. We are going to see a couple of mistakes coming into the winter testing. Of course, this is a brand new challenge for us. I kind of purposely avoided doing MotoGP videos in general, just because I wanted to experience this one kind of like the first time. Granted, I already know how to play MotoGP, and I have used these bikes many times before playing online, or even just in normal single-player modes, but for now, I wanted to experience this Aprilia for the almost very first time, and of course, with a underappreciated motorcycle and also a underprivileged motorcycle, because of course there is still a lot of upgrades to be done for this Aprilia RSGP, and our first lap of course was nothing to shout home about. 2 seconds behind Miguel Oliveira, who started off with a bang right at the top of the picture with a 1:58.995. Now Malaysia's not one of those tracks I usually do very well at. Now granted, we did take 2nd place in Moto 2 and a 2nd place here in Moto 3. Not sure what we're going to do here today in the winter test. Of course, this is going to be a long video as well, guys, so I guess sit back, relax, grab some popcorn or rice pudding, whatever it is you like to indulge in when you're watching a Dot Race video, and let's just tackle winter testing together. Now, I didn't do the whole 2 hours winter testing. I didn't think that my voice could sustain 2 hours of chatting, as Maverick Vinales seems to be the first crasher of this winter testing. He has that dubious honour. The man on board the number 12 Yamaha, of course. Alex Rins looks like to be on a good lap in 6th position. And I gotta say, it's good to be seeing the big boys and the big names in the best championship in the world. I'm very keen to see how well we perform. I'm confident, but also at the same time hesitant to be too overexcited, because of course we do have a lot of work to do. I'm running with absolutely no assists in the sense of the braking or the acceleration. This is all literally turned off. Everything is disabled, so that'll be from the braking assistance to the acceleration guides, you name it. So braking into the final corner a little bit abruptly there, just pushing too much pressure on the front brake. I may need to consider changing the brakes, but that is what we'll have a little go at over the winter testing, and of course that is our first mistake in MotoGP in just our 2nd lap, so it isn't too positive, but right now we are just literally getting used to it. I'm not going to try and chuck in the most ridiculously fast-paced lap times. We're just trying to slowly come into it, slowly get our bearings, and slowly improve. Now I do plan on doing the same schedule we've been doing for Moto 2 and Moto 3, so that'll be 3 videos a week, with the practices and qualifying at 4 PM, and then of course the Grand Prix itself at 8 PM. It's quite a lot of extra work, but I guess you guys really enjoy it, so that's all that matters to me. But of course, with the MotoGP ones, I do fear that they might be a little bit longer due to me getting used to the tracks and getting used to the bikes. Of course, Qatar is the first round, no matter which calendar you chose. I have chosen the full calendar, so I want to stick to the original tracks if we didn't have a dodgy world right now. I don't want to say the C word, because of course YouTube frowns upon it, so I'm trying to avoid it for that purpose, but you know what I'm trying to get at. But of course, the world is sort of getting back to normal somewhat, so we might see these tracks return next season. But what I will consider is I do intend to do more than just one season in MotoGP, and if we do just the one season, I will do the full calendar, and then the second season we may turn it into the official 2021 calendar that we have actually this season. I do believe it's not fully up to date, like the Kimi Ring is still involved with the 2021 calendar, and Portimao is only once. But if they change it, I'd be more inclined to do the official 2021 calendar. Anything to avoid doing Kimi Ring, because I really don't like that track. It's probably the only track in MotoGP I could say proudly and strongly I don't like. But into turn 14, we're up by 7 tenths of a second, or at least we were. We might get close enough to it on the acceleration coming out of turn 14. Then we'll be going all the way down here, underneath the DHL sign, hard on the brakes, but somewhat controlled as well. And we'll get onto the left-hand side for turn 15 as Frankie Morbidelli, Lord Almighty, he's just bumped us out of the way and completely scuppered our chances of moving up the timing screens. So we are on the left-hand side, of course, 19th position for Grant right now. Hopefully that isn't going to be where our future lies. I don't think it will be, with Jorge Martin and Alex Marquez behind. Jack Miller at the front right now with a 1:58.670, and Paul Espargaro second, which unfortunately I can't see which time he set, but he is right there, the Repsol Honda man. So for the very first time, we do have a guide, let's say, within Franco Morbidelli. Granted, he did just shove us across into turn 15, but we can now get back onto the Italian and start pursuing him. We did set the fastest sector going into turn 1, so there's nothing wrong with the nimbility of the Aprilia in the first part of the sectors. Of course, those difficult twisty turns and that little bit of a chicane turned into a hairpin. And now in for turn 5, a corner that I can never seem to find the right amount of speed for. I always tend to find it a little bit difficult going into turn 5 for the change of direction, then for turn 6. And then of course on the right hand side here, very, very smooth braking going into turn 7. Do avoid the rumble strip, because you will end up touching that and crashing. If you just slip onto it a little bit, the rear tyre will just slip around and then chuck you off. So do be careful going into that right-hander, of course. The left-hander for turn 9, we clashed here with Lorenzo Baldessari, another Sky VR46 Academy rider, or at least was. Of course, Lorenzo Baldessari parting ways a couple of years ago. I think he parted ways the same time Romano Fenati did, which was maybe 2016, something around that, I don't actually recall. But we're going into turn 12, onto the right-hand side, a little bit caught up on the rumble strip there for turn 13. The bike just got sucked into it and couldn't even move. Once we got right onto it, it was just good night Vienna, no chance. Like the Vince McMahon used to say, no chance in hell. But right now, power setting 3, full acceleration underneath the DHL sign. We'll get hard on the brakes once again. You can see in the bottom right corner of your screen there how much brake is being applied and how much rear brake is being applied as well. Frankie Morbidelli sort of suckered me in on that one, I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect him to go into the pits, so I kind of utilised his braking marker, which would have been for the pits, but across the line we will go. We do improve, but to 17th. So back into the pits, we have now changed to pack number 2, a quick sip of the Vimto and straight back out there onto the track for Sepang International Circuit. Of course, Sepang being an absolutely magnificent track, I do really enjoy this track, but it doesn't tend to fare me well. I do tend to struggle sometimes, but I'm feeling quite confident, surprisingly confident on board this Aprilia, which is rare because whenever I use the Aprilias, I always feel a bit like it's not really that great. I think I mentioned a couple of negative comments towards the Aprilia in a MotoGP 20 video a long time ago. I got called out on that one, so I do apologise for slagging off the Aprilia, let's say. So I guess jumping onto the Aprilia is to make amends and try and improve this motorcycle, because of course the job that Alex Espargaro has done on board this Aprilia is absolutely phenomenal. Many riders have jumped onto it and have really not found any rhythm at all. And of course the triple team of Lorenzo Savadori, Matt Grant and Alex Espargaro should be absolutely fine for the development and the sense of this Italian manufacturer. But braking hard now for the left-hander, very difficult corner to navigate and difficult corner to master. Turn 9, we do a good job of it by a little bit wheelie. Coming out of turn 9, that little bit of a wheelie has slowed us down quite a bit, but we still have somewhat of a guide ahead of us in Johan Zarco. I'm looking for those particular guides just to help us get around this track, just to get a feel for it, you know, just to get that same sort of momentum we had in Moto 2. But the difference from playing Moto 3 to Moto 2 and then jumping up to MotoGP is completely exponentially difficult compared. And you know what? I love the challenge. I don't mind being a middle of the pack guy until we get used to it, until we start improving. I'm here to play my role, and as long as we get those team objectives and we start improving all the time, that is all that matters. And of course, actually, the most ultimate part is that you guys enjoy the content. So if you are enjoying the content, of course, like, comment and subscribe always helps out the channel, and it very, very much is appreciated. But across the line, we do improve, but we're still down by almost 1 second compared to Maverick Vinales' time of a 1:58.505. 92 minutes of this session remains, so still plenty of time for us to improve. I'm already liking power setting 3 and the pack setting 2. Now, in the power settings, I did find with Moto 2, it's very difficult to maintain the traction control, or at least the putting the power on was difficult with power setting 3. Sort of getting the same feeling here with the Aprilia, but a smooth acceleration coming out the corners. It does feel like I'm losing a bit of time. The bike doesn't seem to have that extra oomph that we need. It's obviously much quicker than the Moto 2 machine that we have been on, and the same can be said for the Moto 3 Husqvarna that we utilised and won the World Championship for. But pack setting 2 so far seems to be screaming out to me that to say, pick me, as we get a little bit out of shape there going into the rumble strip. Turn 7 was an absolute death trap for us, but we'll continue the lap nonetheless. Of course, one little mistake could still mean an improvement here or there about for the next couple of corners. I always like to still imagine us improving nonetheless, because of course, track time equals improvements. The more you race, the more you practice, the more time you do, the better you will become. But onto the right hand side we go for turn 11, a little bit sideways there. We're getting a little bit flustered on this particular lap as we get a little bit of a wheelie there as well. Of course, we can still change a lot of the settings as we invalidate that lap. This lap has obviously been no good, so we can just brake in quite casually and gently for turn 13, and we've just dropped the front. What an awful lap this has been. This has been an absolute disaster, and for the very first time, the Moto2 World Champion has binned the Aprilia. Let's get out of the way to make sure we don't get into the path of any other riders who's coming on through. I think we're safe to pick up the motorcycle and get back out there. I think we'll head to the pits and accept defeat, but maybe we'll get across the line to at least have a look at the sector times later on. So disappointment already. Crashing this early on in the session is a little bit disappointing, let's be honest, but of course the bike is still okay, and more importantly, Grant is still able to continue to race in this winter testing. So hard on the brakes we go for the final corner, and I think I'm going to look into changing the brakes. The braking module I usually go for is the 13-inch, which is, I think, is the 130mm. I think I'm going to change to that one because I do believe it's still on preset at 120. Just to quickly mention as well, guys, I hope the quality on this video is as usual quality, or if not better. I have changed my recording software. I was using NVIDIA Shadowplay, but I've decided to jump across to OBS now to try something a little bit different. I do believe one of the few videos from recent times have been a little bit off in the sense of frame rates. And so far, from looking back at the video footage now as I'm recording the voiceover, it seems to be very, very stable compared to what it used to be. So I'm hoping the same depiction is on your screens right now, whether that's a laptop, tablet, or mobile device, whatever it is you're using, or maybe even a console. Anyone watch my videos on console? Shout out to you if you do. But the quality should be a little bit better. I'm obviously using quite a lot of extra power, and the sizes of the actual files are much, much bigger. And of course, take advantage of 4K if you do have a 4K recording device or a 4K viewing device, let's say, because I do go that extra mile to make sure everything's recorded in 4K. Lord knows the file sizes are massive, and Lord knows that it takes a lot longer to edit and everything else, but hey ho, it is what it is. As long as the content looks good for you guys, that's all that matters. Now, of course, we were just chatting about recording and quality and software, but the word I'm going to use is quality, because we are right now on a quality lap, up by 1 second compared to our best lap time already, and we do have a red sector in the second sector. We'll find out in the third split any moment now if this is going to be a orange or a red. It's an orange, but down by just 32 thousandths of a second. What can we do here? Can we actually get ourselves up into the top 10 positions? If not, a front row start for a metaphorical Grand Prix qualifying session. But here we go, hard on the brakes. You can see a lot more controlled now after we changed it to the 130mm, the 13-inch, a little bit wide into the final corner for turn 15, but maximum acceleration, doing the upshifts myself to get that extra bit of speed, and across the line we go top! The Moto2 World Champion has put the Aprilia RSGP on top of the pile in just a 7th lap, something like that. That is brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Matt Grant to MotoGP. Brilliant, I am super pleased with that one. Did not expect us to be anywhere near the top 5, but we have now firmly put ourselves at the top position. That is a magnificent start, and I tell you what, 158.070 is on the precipice of getting into the 157s. Astounding lap, absolutely astounding. I'm super pleased with that one. I'm going to really big myself up on that one, because I didn't think that was possible to start this one off. And I guess the only thing I've changed, of course you guys ask me all the time, what settings do I use? I use standard preset settings. There is no changes to the settings, it's all about the handling and it's all about the brakes and tyres. So I'm using the medium front, the medium rear, with brake on the front is 130mm or 13 inches, and then on the rear it is the maximum, I think it's 8-inch, something like that. But I do tend to use the more quicker heated brakes rather than the slower one. And yes, it does heat up the tyres a little bit quicker and the tyre wear does increase, but it's a worthy sort of trade in the sense of qualifying laps and for those one-time lap pace. For the duration of the race it's probably not wise, but at the same time it's what I've grown accustomed to. Always used it since the beginning of when I started doing the guide videos, etc. I've always gone for the sort of larger brake disc just to help us slow the motorcycle down quicker rather than slower. But of course one more corner to navigate for this particular lap, and oh, a little bit out of shape there. I've just been bigging myself up on the brakes and a little bit of a mistake going into the final corner here at turn 15 of Sepang International Circuit. But across the line we will go, and I think we'll have a little bit of a change and try package 3. So we're now trying package number 3 from the Noale factory in Italy. The Aprilia boys have brought us another package to work with, and let's see what we can do. So this one is full engine. Everything is about the engine getting that maximum torque and that maximum oomph out of this Aprilia RSGP. However, it does have its caveats, therefore we are struggling with tyre life, and the nimbility, as we always say, and the agility of the motorcycle is reduced. But we're going to see what works out well. We've got to try these packages, who knows what's going to work. Of course, if you are concerned about the winter tests, there's also another test during the season, which is after Catalonia. That is your mid-season test, quotation marks. As we now go into the left-hand side for turn 5 with package 3. Already it does feel stronger in the sense of power, but it does lack that movement that we had in package number 2. Package 1 was a very much reduced engine. It was sort of a nice balance, but at the same time it really suffered on the straights with the lack of speed. Package number 2 with power setting 3 enabled gave us the best sort of feedback yet. And this package 3, I'm not liking it so far. It feels very, very heavy. It feels sluggish, to be honest with you. It feels very sluggish. The acceleration's great, the power is good, but the actual movement and the braking is not suiting me at all. We're going to keep trying it. We'll do maybe 3 or 4 laps and see if we can improve. But for now, package 3 has already turned my nose right up. And we'll get out the way. We'll let one of the riders get through. I think it's Jack Miller. Can't really see. It is Jack Miller. Let's allow him to get through. And let's see if we can pick up the pieces. And also, let's compare the power setting 3 with package 3, which is all about engine. How does it compare to a factory Ducati Desmosedici GP21? So hard on the brakes, we will go for turn 15. We will try and get in as close as possible to the Australian ahead of us. Of course, the man who was sitting at the top of the timing screens earlier on to start this session off is no longer up there, as he's now into 5th position. So we do have a great tow to go into turn 1, and we'll continue to follow him towards the end of this lap. So hard on the brakes we go for turn 1, getting super close to the rear of Jack Miller. We'll almost be nose to tail in a moment's time. Look how close we are for turn 1. This is almost turned into a qualifying racer right now, as we get really close to the man on board the Ducati, of course. On the right hand side we go for turn 3. We'll continue to push out of the corner with power setting 3 enabled, down by 64,000th of a second to our lap time from earlier on, and hard on the brakes we will go for turn 4. nice and smooth on the exit here to try and get into the rear of Jack Miller. As you see, we didn't have that smooth exit that I wanted. The bike sort of wheeled a little bit and we just got a little bit offline by applying too much power. That is the difference with having so much engine power and reduced stability. I'm more of a stable kind of guy with less power and more about nimbility, movement and agility. And I know I said nimbility as a joke a long time ago in Ride 4, but I genuinely use that now for every single time I'm determining how good a bike is going to be in the sense of agility and nimbleness. But onto the left-hand side we go, using the nimbleness of this Aprilia, or near enough to. We'll get onto the rear Jack Miller and try and chase him down, but his guide right now has helped us out quite a lot. We are close to him dethroning our own lap time. Not quite good enough, because of course we are still down by a tenth and a little bit, but who knows what's going to happen towards the end of this lap. Onto the right hand side we'll go for turn 13, difficult corner to navigate. Of course we did just bin it just a moment ago, but thankfully that was in the past and it's not going to be replicated right here, right now. Into the slipstream of Jack Miller we will go, down by 2.5 tenths of a second as we didn't get that same amount of exit speed that we wanted, what we had earlier on, but hard on the brakes we go, a little bit out of shape. We're going to completely scupper our chances of following him, but really hard on the brakes. We do end up slowing it down for turn 15. Let's get back onto the power and chase down Jack Miller once again. Across the timing line we will go, and it was a 1:58.334, which is not a bad lap considering we made that minor faux pas towards the end. But we're still pretty strong no matter what as we go onto the right hand side. You know what, let's have a little overtake. Welcome, Jack Miller, welcome me to MotoGP. As he's just seen the Aprilia dive up on the inside, he probably wasn't expecting that, but we are actually up by a tenth of a second, even though we've just made an overtake on the Australian Ducati rider. But onto the left hand side, just briefly, just ever so gently, we'll then bring it into the right hand side for turn 4, that little kink to the left. And I tell you what, this is a good lap, up by another tenth, or at least we were, but that acceleration let us down coming out of turn 4. Turn 5, the left hand side until the change of direction for turn 6. A little bit too close to the rumble strip there, too close to the apex, ruined our sort of momentum going into turn 7. As we'll get hard on the brake just before that white line appears on the left hand side of your screen there. Otherwise, if you brake any later than that, you will end up touching the rumble strip. And as mentioned earlier, touch the rumble strip and you'll probably have a hard time. Jack Miller's straight there behind us as well. He's turned this into a bit of a battle as we go into turn 9. There he is right behind us. He just touches our rear tyre there. A little bit of a kiss from his Michelin tyre to my Michelin rear. As we now go onto the right side as Jack Miller takes over this metaphorical lead in this battle we're having as we now can make a collision going out of... Did not expect that, and that little bit of collision going out of turn 11. These boys are taking this a little bit too serious for a winter testing race, but hey ho, it's not even a race, sorry, I've got myself too much into it now, but it's just winter testing as we go on the right hand side. And Jack Miller's gone down. Jack Miller, I think he must have seen red. He certainly didn't see Ducati red, he just seen Ducati black carbon fibre as that skittled away from him in the same crash we had just earlier on, as we go into turn 15 onto the left hand side. We will end this lap and potentially change it back to power setting 1 because I don't feel like I can improve on this power setting 3 or package 3, let's say. So back over to package 1, and as you can see, those were our first 4 lap times set with this package. I must confess, I do rather like how they've done that. It threw me off when I first seen it, because I was like, that doesn't add up properly, but now it makes a lot of sense with package 1. Our best lap time was a 1:59.669. I think with the experience we've got with this track and how we're feeling with this bike, as you can probably tell already, we're feeling more confident with the machine. I'm getting more and more used to it. I'm quite pleased with how it's looking as well. I'm very, very pedantic with my riding style. It has to look realistic and smooth. I hate seeing the bike wobble everywhere or constant adjustments to try and make the corners. I'm liking the way it's looking right now and hoping you guys are as well. So if you are, make sure you hit that like button. But it's on the right hand side, we go for turn 6, power setting 3. Still utilising TCS 3, anti-wheelie 3, engine brake 5. I might mess around with an engine brake. I don't really know much about the engine brake side. It's something I'm lacking on. Do need to probably look into that a little bit further. But I would like to maybe reduce that a little bit because sometimes it does feel like the bike just takes a bit away from you compared to the feeling that you have. That's why I've always preferred the less assisted brakes and acceleration because I want to be the man in control of everything around here. Not so much a control freak, but just in the sense of I want to make sure that I'm controlling the motorcycle. I don't want the motorcycle to be controlling me. So onto the right hand side we go for 13. We're going to be trying to control the motorcycle ourselves as we go into this difficult right-hander. We ran it a little bit too wide there, which is going to compromise our exit speed. But still, nonetheless, this should be another 158 lap time. It's not going to be a 158.070 or potentially into the 157s. Would really love to get into the 157s, but it just seems to be eluding us right now. It doesn't seem anyone has improved from their lap time since ages ago. And of course, 47 minutes remaining of this winter test is still available, and across the line we do go, and it's a 152.269, a pretty top-notch job for the man on board the Aprilia right now, the Moto2 world champion. Of course, we are only 69,000th of a second ahead of Fabio Quartararo as Johann Zarco just sets the fastest sector time, or at least a personal best sector time for him into the first sector. On the right hand side we go. This is another red sector coming in for Grant. He is super smooth coming into turn 2, 3 and 4, and now into turn 4, of course, right on cue. We're now onto the right hand side. We'll go underneath the TSO sign and chuck it to the left hand side. Chuck it in quite early so you can then follow the line and hug it quite nice to the apex. Probably dropped it down too many gears there, or a little bit too abruptly on the gear drop. But onto the right hand side for turn 6. Still navigating roughly around a tenth slower. It's very, very close. We do briefly get a little bit ahead, but we are going to run it wide going into turn 7, and that is lap time over for this one, as we have just completely messed it up. We're going to continue nonetheless, because of course, just because we made one mistake doesn't mean that the lap time is all null and void. If we invalidated the lap, of course, that's a different story, but for the time being, let's see what we can produce going into turn 10, 11 and 12 and beyond. But for turn 11, nice and tight apex, smooth power delivery, a little bit too much on the rumble strip, trying to get every single ounce of little bits of power out of this Aprilia. As we now go on to the right hand side for turn 13, that change of direction is something special, as we'll now continue to push into turn 14. Get strong on the power here, but be controlled, be gentle, be smooth, and strong we go. Coming underneath the DHL sign, we'll be going into turn 15, hard on the brakes any moment now, braking all the time, into the left-hander. This is still going to be somewhat a decent lap, but it would have been if we didn't drop the front. So a quick dust off and another attempt with Pack 1. Right now I have decided it is going to be Pack 2. Pack 1 is very, very close, but with that lack of engine power, it could be difficult for the rest of the race of the season, because we've seen the difference within Moto 3 when I did power setting 1 only. The Moto 2 machine, we used to struggle on the straights. Do I go for full power, or do we just accept that we're going to go full nimbility? There's that word once again. We need to get that on a t-shirt at some point. But I have tried to change it over now to the soft option tyres. I usually, when I play soft option tyres, struggle so much with the amount of speed and power due to the way the tyres slip and just completely burn up throughout the track. We're going to see what it's like. I think we're going to be leaning towards medium tyres for the majority of the season and for the most of the session. But right now, still 16,000th of a second ahead of Johann Zarco, and of course 60,000th of a second ahead of Fabio Quartararo on board the Yamaha. Still looking quite strong, and obviously it doesn't really matter the sense of the winter testing, but we can take some very, very positive feeling away from this winter test, knowing that we are going to be in the top 5 after all is said and done, and that is an absolutely awesome achievement, especially for a rookie going into the biggest and best class in the world. But honestly guys, I think this is going to be pretty much it. I'm pretty confident with package number 2. I don't think I'm going to try it anymore. I think I'm pretty much done. I mean, there's 35 minutes of this session remaining, but I'm pretty confident we'll go for the medium front, medium rear, package number 2, and begin our MotoGP World Championship on Friday with round 1 at Qatar. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed this one so far. I was actually a little bit concerned about doing a video so long, but I'm pretty pleased. I think I've had some stuff to talk about, so I hope you guys have enjoyed it. So the final lap is now here. We'll get across the line, and I think we can celebrate in style, knowing that we've had a bloody good winter test. So the final results are in. Grant is the fastest man in winter testing. Can you believe that? The man on board the Aprilia RSGP is the fastest man with a 158.070. I do feel we've got a lot of work to do to improve our consistency, to understand the bike a little bit better, to get stronger on the brakes and more deeper. But honestly guys, I think this is just brewing for an absolutely awesome MotoGP 21 World Championship. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I've had an absolute pleasure doing this one for you today. Hopefully we can continue the momentum and improve as the season goes on. But guys, upon that note, thank you very much for watching the video. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single Dot Race upload. Thanks for watching guys, and ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more Dot Race content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single Dr. Race video.